Welcome to Green Living with T. In today's episode, we're uncovering why toxicological transparency, don't try to say that fast, is in our homes, is vital for our health. And we'll sit down with expert Lauren Taylor to discuss the hidden chemicals in everyday products and how to truly make a safer home and sustainable choices for your living space. This is especially important for everybody, but really important in households with infants, pets, and immune sensitive family members. Lauren is a dedicated advocate for toxicological transparency, and her work became the foundation for her company, Alter Bio. And it's the first U.S. home cleaning brand built to meet stringent European safety standards, which we will talk about. And she is a leading voice in the emerging home microbiome movement and a master of science and social business from the London School of Economics. The importance of having a healthy, balanced lifestyle was ingrained in her at a very young age, from cooking seasonal and local produce, spending time outdoors, and minimizing processed and chemical products from beauty to home. She grew up learning to garden from her mother, spent time on her grandparents' farm, and comes to us today from New York City. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here.
You're welcome. Well, when I was reading your bio, which is going to be a lot longer in the show notes for everybody because she has so much she's done and been involved with and still involved with. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm 60, I'm quite a bit older than you, but I was reading everything like, oh my God, I felt like it was my younger me. Because first of all, I grew up that way. And you and I definitely come from the same beliefs and backgrounds. And I love when I find people like you because we need a lot of people in your generation really to move the needle more. It is moving. I'm thankful. When I grew up, I mean, forget it. People thought we were absolutely insane and called us granola
Us too.
heads. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I was, I went to school to open up a health food store actually that everybody knows as Whole Foods. And I came out as a party planner and I've had an event planning business for 40 years here in Buffalo, but I've never lost my love and my desire to really help people get toxins out of their homes. So, anyways, enough about me. I want to talk about you because your background, give a little snippet about how you got to where you are today because you have this wonderful product and this great company we want to talk about as well.
Well, thank you for that intro, and I love that we have shared backgrounds. We were just briefly discussing it, but I think when if you're lucky to have parents or a parent or someone who's in your life who teaches you anything, whether it's about where your food comes from, where vegetables come from, or why eating healthy feels a lot better and is better for you than eating processed foods. And just having any sort of awareness, whether it relates to food or relates to beauty or how you take care of your skin, making sure, basic things, even drinking enough water, getting sleep, and just how being more connected to nature is healthier for your body, for your mind, spirit, your skin, everything. And you can see that and then in your own skin, in the way you live and the way you feel every day. And I would love to bring that to more people. So it's great to continue to meet people who are doing that in different ways. And I love listening to all your different podcasts with so many different ways to better your home and better your space. And it's interesting you mentioned that comment about how people kind of thought you were, weird. Like we're a
Yeah.
vegetarian household in Texas in the 90s. And even though
Yeah,
we're like,
that's
two generations apart, it's still three generations apart, I guess. Um, it's still like it took a long time to even get to this place where now it's cool to have a vegetarian restaurant or it's
mhm.
cool to not drink or it's maybe not even cool, but it's accepted and people are okay with it. And that I think is means we're getting to a better place where people are open to different ways of living and they're open to healthier ways of living and taking care of yourself and going to bed earlier or being aware of products that you're consuming and thinking about them, having those conversations could be normalized. And I think that'll help bring it more to the masses so you have a healthier society and healthier humanity, which is ultimately my goal and what I want to contribute through my work as a founder of Alter Bio, and then also through my work with UNICEF and as a farm owner. A couple of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I watched the film Kiss the Ground. Have you seen it?
Oh boy.
Documentary.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, we could talk for hours about all of
Oh
it.
yeah. And
So
anybody should watch Kiss the Ground. You can get it on
yes,
Netflix.
and the second one, Common Ground.
Common Ground. Yeah.
And if you like Woody Harrelson, he narrates and he's fantastic. And there's all these brilliant people in there, and they explain regenerative farming in a really beautiful and fun and healthy way, and also explain how you can make more money doing that. And once you convert the land, and the land becomes richer and back to where, more nutrient dense, and how it should be thriving more naturally. Um, so I watched, all these documentaries kind of during COVID and was
Mm.
really getting into it. And I was living abroad, and I was spending most of my time in Switzerland and then the English countryside. And it was so lucky to be able to do that. And I saw so much regenerative farming happening there. I was like, wait a second, we own land that my dad grew up on, and his dad grew up on, and his dad grew up on. And it was just generations and generations. And I was like, we've never really talked about what's happening there. We should talk about it. Um, and I had my dad watch the film, and then we went out to meet some regenerative farmers that we met through Kiss the Ground team. I had
Mm.
emailed, and over several months, they
Wow.
connected me to this super cool couple who now they're our farmers, and they run it, and they are operating
Love
several
that.
other farms, and they are so cool, and they live in a yurt, and they send us photos and videos, and we'll go out and visit and see everything they're doing. And um, they also make cleaning products and are deep in this space. So there's this whole kind of like ecosystem of caring about multiple things, from your food to your health to the air quality to cleaning products to other products at home, how you're taking care of your children, like all these things that are becoming this like great conversation in the space that I just love continue diving into. Um, but also while I was abroad, I was with a partner at the time who has horrible asthma and allergies. And this was during COVID. And he had a family member who was going through brain cancer. My sister had mold poisoning here in the States. Um, and my mom was sick as well, going through something. And so we just had these people around us who were the people I cared about, the most in my life, who were all going through very different things, but at a time of the most heightened, health conversations in the world, because we're going through this pandemic that, none of us had ever gone through before. And everyone's cleaning. You're cleaning everything. You're cleaning, the grocery bags. You're cleaning your handles all day long, every little touch point in your home. And that was one of the biggest conversations is, what are you cleaning with? Are you getting this? Where do you pick up COVID? Are you not picking it up? What are the symptoms? If you have, any sort of compromised, immune system, or any existing, I don't like to use the word disease, but that's the word, like any existing conditions, there was a heightened sensitivity and heightened opportunity for you to not do well or survive or have really horrible symptoms with COVID. And having, these people that I love going through these things and having like a lot of stress and fear around stuff, but also not wanting to catch COVID, but not wanting to further compromise their health. We're really just looking for products that one were either hyperallergenic and low allergen or sensitive for asthma for my partner. We're looking for other products for people who are going through, the conditions that they were going through or being in hospice. And I couldn't find them. I couldn't find products that met the safety standards that I wanted of, you know, at the time I was using non-toxic, but now as I've dug into everything, human safe is really this term that's really important to me, and we'll talk about what that means more. But I was really trying to find things that were low toxic or non-toxic or really healthy, um, or hyperallergenic, safe for pregnancy, safe for pets, safe for kids. Like you're living in your home, products should be safe for the people that are in your home, the animals that are in your home, and most are not. And most of these like considered healthy ones didn't really have any innovative science or kind of fall into this category of things that were killing germs. And all these things that were killing germs were killing all germs.
Hmm.
So I was looking at these two categories of, okay, you have these things that are really unsafe, but I think they're killing against COVID. And then you have these things that are really safe, but are they cleaning, like even cleaning in the first place, but then also during a time that's really important to be aware of germs, are they combating any of that? And I just couldn't find products on the market that were fitting this in between need. So I saw this white space. Then I saw white space for, my friends who are going through pregnancy, IVF, infertility, endocrine system, and that conversation was happening, and they weren't getting any recommendations from their doctors. And then there's this whole other category of, are these products safe for pets? And I started digging into it, and like cats are allergic to lavender essential oils. I had no idea. That is one of the leading scents in cleaning products and candles and all sorts of things. So I was working remote, going back to school, and then doing this like side project of cleaning product research, testing all sorts of products, trying to find stuff on Amazon or health stores. And, things were closed at the time, so you could only order stuff online, or things were being sold out in all the, necessary stores.
Right.
And I was also in Europe. And I had this luxury to be in Europe at the time, but I also had the luxury to find out about all these bans that were happening and how vastly different the just the way that products are allowed to be sold in the markets. And, for most people, if they have the chance to go to Europe, they understand, oh, I can eat, pasta, or I can eat these things and I feel fine. I don't kind of have the same like reactions, and even friends that are, sometimes gluten-free can have a light amount. And there's just like this healthier notion around the food. But then if you dive deeper into products and everything from skincare to cleaning, there's so many bans in Europe. And at the time, there was, I think in early 2020 or mid 2020, there's another
Can I
50.
interject there? And you,
Please do.
and
Please do.
yes, I want you to continue, but there's so many bans in Europe. But my understanding is there's the policy as well. And I just wanted people to understand that. In the United States, you don't have to prove something's bad until you're guilty.
Correct.
In Europe, you have to prove it's safe first before it can go on the market. Two totally different ways of products being put out there. So products that are on the shelves in the United States aren't necessarily tested per se to be safe. They might be tested by the company that made them, but they don't have to prove they're safe. They're innocent until proven guilty is basically what I'm trying to say. Where
That is exactly
okay,
right.
I just want
And
people because that's
yeah,
huge.
no, it's huge. And it's a very good point to explain why then certain ingredients get banned or certain percentages of ingredients get banned. And it's
Yes.
exactly that. It's that Europe doesn't allow it if there is a potential risk, whereas the US
Mhm.
allows it until
Right.
the risk has occurred. And often, if you look at, studies from many of these large companies, often until the risk has occurred many, many, many times,
Yes.
oftentimes in thousands of occurrences.
Thousands, and they keep fighting them and fighting them and fighting them. And
Yes.
then they'll just take the recipe and tweak it a little bit and still is on the market. Anyways, go on.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's a really different approach
Yeah.
to humanity and the environment. And that was something that was so important for me. I was like, you know what, we should be making things for people that are good for them and also good for the environment, or at least operating neutrally, not negative for humanity or negative for the environment. At the minimum, it should, I believe, be a neutral thing.
Hmm.
Um, and that to me was such a kind of revelation of digging outside of just the food systems, but really
Right.
into how this kind of legal system works and how things are approached, and then how that comes into consumer brands. And so at first I was like, okay, I want to build these products in Europe. Then I was like, wait a second, why don't I just meet the regulatory of Europe, but bring that to the US? Like, don't those people deserve
Mhm.
to have, like, in the same way that I'm American and I would love to have products that meet these standards? Just because I'm an American company doesn't mean that I can't meet whatever standards in the world that I want to.
Right.
And these are some of the strictest in the world. And extremely important to me. So that's what kind of the foundation of the business was, is finding this, meeting European standards and then bridging science efficacy with top safety standards.
I love it. By the way, I just did a podcast a couple weeks ago where flour, her flour is by European standards.
Yes, yes, I saw that. I can't wait to listen to it.
Manny's choice, yeah. So I hope this is a thing because now you have your European standards with your products as well. So we hear this a lot, and it's good for people to understand that because if you're more aware of the ingredients that are in your products and your food or your cleaning supplies, and your flour isn't grown with glyphosate, and you're going by European standards with your products too. So it's great. This is great news that you're doing this as well. Let's for people that don't understand, we talked in my intro a little bit about home as a
Yeah.
microbiome. We hear about microbiome in our stomach, but not necessarily our home microbiome. That potentially some of these ingredients and some of these cleaning products people are using could be harming their health and doing harm to their good bacteria.
Yes, great question. And so I want to first explain what ingredients I am using that relates to how it helps your home microbiome, which sounds a little woohoo, but we'll get into it. So as I was on this journey of trying to bridge science with safety standards, I didn't know what the solution was. I was like, I know this is what I want. This is what I want them, certification wise. This is what I want the ingredients to meet. They need to be biodegradable. Like all these things, but I didn't know what those ingredients looked like. I didn't know what that chemistry looked like. I don't have a background in chemistry or biology, but I knew what I wanted the outcome to be and what they needed to meet. So as I was going on this journey, I came across, started going to these like conferences, these ingredient conferences, biotech conferences, like maybe I can, figure it out and doing, all this research. And
Wow.
this is pre-AI. So,
Right.
Googling, real Googling, not AI Googling. And it was looking for, okay, where can I learn about this and where can I find it? And can I find, a formulator to help me with this? I was looking for labs, I was looking for all this stuff, but I had no background in any of this. And I came across a lot of really interesting biotech solutions coming out of Europe. And there's been a lot of biotech within, supplements and medicine and and all sorts of things, kind of a different variation of health, but not so much within, cleaning consumer products, especially not 4 or 5 years ago. Now we're starting to see more, which makes me really excited about the
Mhm.
whole market space. Um, but I came across these symbiotics, which are a bridge of prebiotics and probiotics. And at first I kind of thought it was a little like too woohoo and just like a trendy ingredient or something. And then I went to visit the labs, looked at everything under the petri dishes, saw how it is actually working, read the studies and reports, which have been going on for one of the companies I'm working with. And there's a few making symbiotics now, but they've been studying them for almost 20 years on how they interact with everything from illness to you cough, your dog pees, someone sneezes, blood, saliva, E. coli, all sorts of like kind of the major pathogens and how that performs against the major pathogens and how it eats away at the bad germs but keeps the good. So in the same way that you take a probiotic, I take probiotics almost every day. Um, and you want to keep the good bacteria in your stomach. If you get rid of everything, then your body doesn't have the good bacteria to fight off when germs come in, when illness comes in. And by the way, germs are around, you probably know this, but something we just don't think about all the time. Germs are everywhere. They populate on everything. I cleaned off this table before the podcast, the germs come back. It doesn't mean you can always see them. It doesn't mean there's crumbs there still, like you've cleaned up the table, but germs repopulate on everything. And so when you realize that germs are everywhere, even when you've, thought you've cleaned up everything, then it starts to make sense about what a home microbiome is. And that's really your
Mm.
entire space. So right now, this is my home microbiome. The apartment that I'm living in, the air quality, the surfaces, what I'm breathing in. Your skin is your biggest organ, so what's in your air is going into your skin and going into your body. And so when you think about it, about like really the space that you're living in, I have the windows open right now. There's outdoor air particles coming in. There's indoor VOCs, outdoor VOCs. This whole space is your home microbiome. And if you're not really treating it well, then you're not living in a healthy environment. Even if you're eating healthy, even if you're eating organic or you're, you know, drinking healthy water and you have a water filter or this or that. Um, so my products work on creating really a healthy home barrier with good bacteria, and they continue working for up to 6 days. So for instance, the surface spray, if I spray my counters and tables and space and everything, clean it off, those microscopic particles then go into the air and are breaking down bad germs that come into contact with them for up to those 6 days. So as you continue cleaning, you're actually building a healthier home microbiome by setting up this barrier that continues to break down the bad as soon as it comes into contact with them. And when I
So this
started seeing
this is
it,
the symbiotic that you put
this
in
is
the
these
product. Okay.
symbiotics that I put in the
Okay.
products.
Very interesting. So it's actually cleaning with bacteria. Is that
It's
correct?
cleaning with bacteria. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
actually improving your indoor home microbiome, and as opposed to using something off the shelf at a supermarket. By the way, when you walk down that aisle and you smell all those toxic ingredients outgassing from the products, those are things that are hurting your home microbiome that you're cleaning with. Um, and we've been told that you need all these chemicals to kill bad bacteria, and you don't necessarily need all those bad chemicals. So I just wanted to touch on that, as opposed to making sure your home has clean air. And
Hmm.
part of that has to do with what you're cleaning with. So now with your product, you can clean with a symbiotic, and which it's helping kill bad bacteria, but not hurting the home microbiome. Did I sum that up?
You did sum that
Sort
up.
of. Okay.
It's like, if you get strep throat or you get something where you need to maybe take an antimicrobial,
Mm-hmm.
you take it only for that time period.
Right.
And often my doctor will say, okay, you need to try to take a probiotic with it as well, because taking that is a really intense thing on your body because it's getting rid of so much of the good bacteria. It's getting rid of so much of the bacteria just to fight off something stronger. But you wouldn't want to take that every day. And if you're cleaning with antimicrobials every day, you're basically taking an antimicrobial every day because
Mm-hmm.
you're breathing it in, it's in your home. So it really should be like, I don't use them at all, but if you're going to use them, really think about it in that way of like a
Right.
specific instance versus sterilizing your home every day.
Right. Right. Yep. So you're not breathing it in every. Do you use an indoor air quality monitor ever?
I don't, but I think my sister does.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got really into those during COVID. I mean, I still am. I have a bunch of them all over the house. I don't have many toxic chemicals in our house that they pick up on, but once in a while they do. But I've taken them to other friends' houses that have really shown them, wow, I've got to really look at what I'm cleaning with,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the chemicals that are circulating, they see like, oh, the high VOC. So, anyways, I thought
No,
about
no,
that.
it is. And it really affects air quality. It also,
Hmm.
as germs are constantly repopulating spaces because they live, bacteria just lives all around us all the time.
Hmm.
If you're using any kind of an antimicrobial, antibacterial on your counters, it not only is getting into your air quality and your skin and your lungs, but it's also not it only sterilizes it for up to like 21 minutes and then the germs repopulate.
Hmm.
So you're not
Interesting.
doing anything to like help the cleaning beyond that 20 minutes. You're really just putting chemicals into your space that then you're breathing in, but without doing anything that's continuing to work over time in the way that back to like kind of our gut, but like if you eat healthy over time, you're really building up a strong immune system and
Hmm.
building up a healthy, body and gut and internal system.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about the the air quality and think about your dog, any pets, not just dogs, pets, kids, and how susceptible they are, and children with their organs developing and these chemicals floating around the house, and anybody with any kind of immune um, issue
Yeah.
too.
So
Yeah.
there's a few studies, but I'll touch on two. Um,
Yes.
and one is a Harvard study, and I'll send it over to you. And you can Google this for our listeners today. But if you type in like Harvard children obesity cleaning products, it is antimicrobials, antibacterials are a leading cause of childhood obesity because
Mm,
they're breathing it in, they're so susceptible and vulnerable, as you said, that when you're killing all their internal good bacteria, they have nothing to fight off or kind of build their bodies.
right.
And then there's another study by this doctor, Paul Tessar. He's out of Case Western and he's fantastic. I had the pleasure to meet him a couple years ago. And he has a lab center where he does all sorts of testing on mice. And sometimes they translate over to humans after they've done testing on mice. But one of the testing was on cleaning products using this ingredient called quats. And quats
Oh.
is short term for quaternary ammonium compounds. And it's
Hmm.
something that is banned in Europe. It is something
Yep.
that is obviously not in my cleaning products. And it is often used to kind of connect a lot of the ingredients together and help with suds, and then also like
Yep.
breaking down food. So a lot of cleaning products use it because it's a very cheap ingredient and it helps to kind of break down food and make things look and feel clean. But when he did his study over several years, it showed that quats cause neurological diseases such as MS.
Yeah. I believe it. And it's, I mean, if anybody saw how some of these cleaning products, commercial cleaning products are made, if you ever saw what goes into them, the quats and all these other chemicals, I don't think people would buy them. I think they would start waking up. But let's talk a little bit about, because you touched on it a little bit, and it's so important. And you're following European standards, but the European Union has banned, you said 1,600 chemicals now,
1,600 ingredients across
ingredients.
personal care, home care, and also agriculture.
Yeah, and they keep banning. I mean, they keep
Yes,
it's because that has gone up over the years, and the U.S. has still kept with just 11 banned.
11.
11,
11.
one banned out of
Less than
80,000 chemicals.
1% out of less than 1%,
Yeah,
which is absolutely
80,000
wild,
coming.
right?
It's crazy. And why don't you talk about that a little bit? Because that's what I loved, as I mentioned, that you follow those standards, which is great for anybody to know, that you're you're following what they really have set up for consumers over in Europe. Unfortunately, not here.
Yes, it is an unfortunate thing, but it is fortunate that we can still have access to those
Good
products,
point.
which is
Good
a good
point.
point. So I'm lucky that I'm able to travel, and I think if you are able to travel, you go to France, you go to Italy, you go anywhere, pharmacies, that is where I pick up beauty products, that is where I pick
Mm-hmm.
up anything like that, sunscreen, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if you can't remember ingredients, then look where products are made.
Good point.
Look
Yeah.
which country they're made in versus the US. And I mean, there's a few things specifically within cleaning. Quats, as we discussed, is obviously one of them to be on the lookout for. Um, Phthalates, which
Mm-hmm.
is also part of like PFOs, PFOAs, which are forever chemicals. Sodium lauryl sulfate and
Mm-hmm.
sodium laureth sulfates. It's SLS and SLES. And both of those have been shown to cause a lot of allergens. And then like variations of chlorine bleach.
Mm, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of just I touch on again, especially children and growing up, a lot of them are hormone disruptors and
Yes.
endocrine disruptors, a lot of these chemicals, and they're
Yeah.
mimicking hormones. And you spray them in your house, you're cleaning the floors, you're cleaning the counters, whatever you're doing, even laundry detergent, the chemicals are what our skin is our largest organ.
Yes. I think about it like, people are very sensitive to what I come across in conversation is that a lot of people really pay attention to the beauty products they're using.
Hmm.
But I'm like, okay, but your cleaning products, you're spraying it around, you're breathing it in your lungs, it's getting into your skin. Most people I
Yeah.
know are not using gloves at all.
Yeah. No.
So they're around it, you're touching the paper towels that you're spraying everything on. It's getting into your skin right away. Even if you wash your hands within a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you're absorbing it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
That's
it should be
exactly
thought
right.
of as a similar thing as to something that you eat or something that you put on your face, whether it's your moisturizer or your makeup or anything like that. Um, and really, like that conversation should all be about like consumption as a whole, not just specific categories.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk about transparency a little bit because many of the products, they don't necessarily, my understanding is they don't have to put the ingredients on the label,
No. So
right?
the regulatory in the US, so I basically got to market without having to meet any regulatory. There's two things with that. So one is if you are an antimicrobial or antibacterial, you have to file with the EPA. Because
Mm.
I'm not one of those things and I'm pro bacteria, essentially, I do not have to file with EPA. Um, Second, I don't have to do any filing to get into stores. The filing that I did do is for all the certifications that I wanted my product to meet. And that includes human safety. So, human safe testing requires a third party to test on over 200 respondents per product in a 13-week study like a patch test, essentially like an allergen test, and to ensure that it's essentially safe for humans, not just safe for animals, not just safe, for like test on mice. Like it's really tested on humans before it can get that certification.
Is that a company that does that?
It's a third party company.
That's not made safe, is it? .org?
No, that's a
Okay.
that's a certification. Yeah.
Okay.
No, there's a separate company that in order to be able to say that you're human safe or it's
Oh,
been
I see. Got it.
dermatologically tested, or hypoallergenic or gentle on skin, you have to go through this testing.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yes, but a lot of products don't say that. Like if you look at a lot of soaps, a lot of them will say vegan or cruelty free, which is great. That is a very lovely thing to have. It doesn't have anything to do with human safe testing.
It's a little bit of greenwashing in my personal
It's some
opinion.
greenwashing. So a lot of brands I'll see, um, they'll have a scent. We do have a scent, but our scent meets all of our health standards. The whole formula was tested for every single certification we have, including our scent that is biodegradable, plant-derived, human safe, vegan, and cruelty-free, and hypoallergenic and allergen-free. Um, but a lot of brands I'll see across the spectrum on things will often just have like vegan or cruelty-free
Hmm.
and then be a scent play. So they don't really have any innovative science. They haven't tested on humans. And non-toxic is this very vague term that doesn't actually have a certification. And when I realized that as I was building this, I was like, how am I had two regulatory agents who are working with me on every single bit of language I was allowed to say and not allowed to say, and I erred on as much conservative, kind of language as possible, because I didn't want to be greenwashing and I didn't want to be health washing. I wanted it to have actual science, data, testing backed up in order to support any claim that we put forward. And as I was talking to both different regulatory agents, which is someone who has been trained to read all the ingredients, the chemical structures, everything, and then help you with language that you're allowed to do. By the way, this is not required at all. It's
You
something
were
that I
doing
thought was
it because,
important
yep,
as building a
yep.
transparent brand. Um, but people are not required to do this. They're suggested and advised to do it, so they don't get into legal trouble, but they're not. There's no requirement to get on the market to do this.
Hmm.
But the regulatory agents were like, you shouldn't use non-toxic because it's an untestable claim. And I'm like, I know, but that's the thing that everyone asks. Anytime I meet someone, they're like, oh, are your products non-toxic? But non-toxic is this like very vague spectrum
Hmm.
essentially that has no third-party testing. There's no certification tied to it in the same way that vegan or cruelty-free Leaping Bunny have clear certifications with clear processes. There's nothing for non-toxic. That's why I did the human safe testing. But that education, we've been programmed, even myself before I built this company, was programmed to ask if something's non-toxic because that's what we've been
Right,
told means healthy.
right,
And I'll often I'll hear things too, or people will ask, oh, is it eco-friendly? But they meant to say, is it healthy? Or
right.
they'll say, is it natural? Not knowing whether they want natural, they just heard it's a good term to have. Or clean, because there's some markets that have had kind of, they've programmed clean as their word, but all these terms mean different things. I think it's important to know what terms are important to you, either from a health standard, a environmental standard, and understand what those terms mean when you're looking at different products, whether that's
Hmm.
in cleaning or in beauty or in skincare or anything like that.
Yep, absolutely. The other word that's overused is natural.
Yes, yes, that is frequently overused and is very confusing. And
Yes,
often things, I mean, this probably is a huge pet peeve of yours. Things will say, um, uses
made with.
natural or like included, yes, or
Made
made with.
with.
But
Yeah,
made with can be 1%.
yes,
And
yes.
there's no minimum on what that is. The one that gets me the most is when it says inspired by nature.
Oh gosh.
I knew you were gonna
Oh
go on
yeah.
it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Inspired by nature. Sure. I walk outside, I'm inspired by the garden.
Yeah. Inspired by
But there's
nature. It
no,
smells like fresh breeze.
yes,
Fresh breeze doesn't smell like anything.
doesn't smell
Anyways,
like
yeah.
anything. Doesn't
It's
smell like
crazy.
anything.
I
Yes.
those make me cringe. Yes.
And it's just
They're-
the fact that someone's used the word nature, our mind goes to thinking, oh, it's natural. And
yes,
like
yes.
conflating those terms together, thinking they're the same. And so I always urge people really like look at it before, look at what, like why you're buying it, what's important to you. And for some people, it's not important to them. That's okay. I think for
Right.
your audience and everyone listening here, it's things that they care about. And I
Hmm.
think the more that anyone knows, the more they can make more informed decisions for themselves, for their family, for their pets, for their homes, for their home microbiome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And always turn it around. Don't look at the front of the label, look at the back of the label. More important than the front of the label. They're trying to sell it to you on that shelf by their
Yes.
brown packaging or made in, made with uh aloe or all natural. Look at the ingredients,
You look at the
definitely.
ingredients. Look at the ingredients.
Look at where it's coming from. So,
Yes. And there's a lot of blanket terms like
mm,
I use this analogy, and I'm taking this analogy from a lab I worked with, but say something says sugar or sweetener, and not that many things are legally required to disclose which thing underneath that umbrella term, and it
mhm,
could be anything. I think brands that are using organic honey will say they're using organic honey, but if it says sweetener, it's probably a cover up for something that is not as healthy.
right.
But like within sugar, you could have white refined sugar, you could have beetroot derived sugar, or you could have coconut sugar. There's all these different variations of it. And so I think also just being aware of some of these umbrella terminology is a good place to start. And
Well,
I was going to say one
yeah,
platform that I love that's been really helpful for me as an individual is Yuka app.
Yucca.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure it's been talked about here before.
It is, but never enough because letting people know about Yucca, put that app on your phone whenever you're buying something at the store. Typically, it has most items on there. You can scan the label and it will tell you about the ingredients.
Yes, and that's super helpful because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of ingredients and trying to keep
Mhm.
up with all of them and
Yep.
the bans around percentages or no bans or what's allowed
Yep.
is really challenging. And that is a great, much easier way. Another one is Oasis.
Oh, I don't know Oasis. That's a
Oh,
new
that one's
one.
great. And their Instagram's really good too, and they do actual ratings on products, everything from microplastics in water to different ingredients in protein bars, and they'll tell you which ones are good, which ones are not so good, why they're not as healthy for you. And I think both of those are really good just with education and
Hmm.
transparency.
For
Um,
sure.
and there's a great way to really to have a quicker way to figure out if something's healthy for you without getting so
Yep.
stressed about it.
Yep. Environmental Working Group is great too, ewg.org.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so, well, your product, where can people buy?
We are on shopalterbio.com. We are also in several stores in the New York tri-state area. We had the pleasure to launch with Happier Grocer in Manhattan last year and have since been expanding.
Awesome.
But you can get really good bundle deals, and you can get a special offer for our listeners today. It's green tea, TEE for you, 20, and you'll put it in
Show notes.
the show notes for all of your listeners. You can get 20% off your first order.
20% off first order. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
add all that.
Yes. And one note I forgot to mention, because a lot of people ask about it, the name.
Oh, yeah, I meant to
Yeah.
ask you.
Yeah. Um, so alter really stands for alternative, and the bio stands for biology, biotech, biologicals, which is what our symbiotics are, biodegradable, because all of our ingredients are readily biodegradable, um, and just that whole space,
I
everything
love
there.
it. It's
Yeah, I love
fabulous.
the biology.
And supporting an American-made product by a woman that you know is going to be healthy for you and your home. I just think this is awesome, Lauren.
Thank you. We have a lot more products coming out end of this
Good,
year, next year, including an unscented version. Really excited about that.
good. Well, we'll get you
Yeah.
back on Green Living with Tea, and we can talk about more because I think you and I could probably sit here and talk about 10 more uh, subjects that are
Oh,
important
all
for
sorts of
people
things.
to,
We could talk
yeah,
about farming, we
yeah,
could talk
yeah.
about Europe, we could talk about Buffalo, we could talk about all sorts of amazing things. I loved this
Yep,
conversation with you. Thank you
absolutely.
for
You're
having me on
welcome.
today.
Well, massive thank you to you too, and for pulling back the curtain on what is truly inside our household products and showing us how to reclaim your indoor air and your home microbiome. And I encourage everybody to go to her website and purchase the product on our website. Look at those bottles under your sink. Don't overwhelm yourself because it can be, but swap something today and swap something down the road. One product at a time will help you reduce that toxic load in your home. So if you loved today's episode, please, please take 30 seconds to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or Spotify because your reviews will help other eco-conscious, healthy listeners find the show and help to grow our green community. And of course, don't forget to check out the show notes for all the links that we mentioned here today on Lauren's work and her symbiotic cleaning. And until next time, remember that every small, sustainable switch makes a massive difference. And live green and be green and breathe clean. So I will catch you on the next episode. So thanks, Lauren. I appreciate it.
Thank you.